After 5 years of marriage to Finley, I went for a prenatal checkup and accidentally discovered that he had asked the doctor for 2 boxes of pills. One was for abortion, and the other was for preserving the pregnancy. Beside him was a young girl. The doctor glanced at the girl's belly and said, "With your wife's current month of pregnancy, this abortion pill won't work. I suggest you have a surgical abortion." Finley's face was cold, and he said nothing. Back at the villa, Finley ordered the servants to put the abortion pills into my food. India's mom trembled and said, "Young master, even if you want Miss Jocelyn's child to inherit the family property, you can't treat Madam like this." Finley warned coldly, "If anyone tells about this, I will definitely not let them off. Also, take good care of Madam's health during this period. I don't want to see her suffer from the effects of these drugs." Later, Finley was busy accompanying his secretary for prenatal checkups and coaxing her to take the medicine. I have already drafted the agreement and bought a plane ticket abroad. For the rest of my life, we will never meet again. 1. When I left the hospital, I was completely lost. I wandered aimlessly through the streets. People were coming and going, all casting envious glances at me. "Did you see? That's the richest woman." Last week, for her birthday, President Finley set off fireworks all over the city. It was so beautiful. I'm so envious. To marry into such a wealthy family. And President Finley is so handsome too. There should be nothing left to regret in this life, right? If it were in the past, I would have felt very proud to hear these words. Because Finley was indeed very good to me. He was once the object of admiration for countless young ladies. But now, all I could think about was what I had heard at the hospital. My doting husband was actually having an affair with his company's secretary. And they even had a child. And judging by the months, it was even before I got pregnant. I suddenly felt a churning in my stomach and felt dizzy. Combined with the scorching sun, my feet felt unsteady, and I staggered backward. But I was firmly caught by someone. "Kylie." I looked up and saw Finley looking at me with red eyes, his expression full of anxiety. My vision gradually blurred. When I opened my eyes again, I was already lying on a hospital bed. My hand was tightly held by Finley, and he looked like he had been guarding me for a long time. Seeing me wake up, he looked at me with concern and said, "Are you feeling better? Why did you come out alone?" The doctor on the side said, "Madam is too emotionally unstable, and her hormones are unbalanced, which caused her to faint." Hearing this, Finley's grip on my hand suddenly trembled. He frowned at me, his eyes flashing with a hint of panic. "Kylie, how did you end up near the hospital? Didn't you say I would accompany you for your prenatal checkup in 2 days?" "I have some business to discuss these days, and happened to be nearby. By the way, did you not see me when you came?" I looked at Finley, and his expression was clearly a little unnatural. These words sounded like a probe. I gritted my teeth and still forced a smile. "Really? I just didn't want to trouble you. After all, the baby is still young, so I came by myself. I didn't see you." His expression visibly relaxed, and he pulled me into his arms, his voice gentle. "Don't do this next time. You have to let India Mom or me accompany you when you go out in the future. Do you know how worried I was when you fainted?" His eyes accused me. "You're carrying our hard-earned child." Looking at his affectionate expression, I only felt ironic. So he also knew that our child was hard-won. I've been married to him for 5 years and haven't been able to get pregnant. In order to give him a child, I didn't hesitate to undergo IVF, and only I knew the pain involved. But I still endured it. Finally, I got the good news of pregnancy this year. But unexpectedly, as the father of the child, Finley wasn't happy. Instead, he tried every means to abort the child in my womb. "Kylie, I asked a friend for a good prescription for preserving the pregnancy a few days ago, and I've already asked India Mom to make it. Your body is weak, so you have to drink more to nourish yourself." As soon as he finished speaking, India Mom pushed the door open and came in. I looked at India Mom. She had always loved me, but now she dared not look at me. She just put down the bowl of tonic and glanced at me with a complicated expression. Finley picked up the bowl of medicine and blew on it gently. "Be good, I'll feed you." I looked deeply at the man I had loved for 5 years, and with great effort, I held back my tears and drank the medicine sip by sip. Finley, since you want our child to be aborted so much, then I'll do as you wish. Make way for you and your new love. From now on, there will be no more ties between us. 2. At night, my stomach began to ache severely, and I was sweating profusely. Finley quickly called for a doctor, but I knew that the baby in my belly couldn't be saved. A hot stream flowed out from me, and my face turned pale. After examining me, the doctor shook his head and said, "The baby can't be saved. Madam is weak, and after this miscarriage, it may be difficult to conceive again." Finley's eyes were bloodshot, and he clutched my hand tightly, crying heartbreakingly. It seemed as if he was more pained than I was by the loss of the child. He hugged me tightly, his voice trembling. "It's okay, Kylie. We don't need children anymore." My sweat soaked my hair, and my tears could no longer be controlled. Finley turned down all his appointments and stayed to take care of me. He, who was always extremely particular about cleanliness, personally wiped my body and washed my blood-stained clothes. When I closed my eyes, he stood by my side, holding my hand tightly. I could feel his gentle kiss on my forehead. If I hadn't heard him say he wanted to abort our child with my own ears, if I hadn't seen him with another woman with my own eyes, I wouldn't dare to think. How could a man who loved me so much change so suddenly? I wasn't actually asleep. I heard someone push the door open. "President Finley." A sweet voice sounded. "Aren't you supposed to be pushing off all your company matters? No one is allowed to disturb me today. I want to stay with my wife." But I took a deep breath and pretended to just wake up. That woman was looking at me at that moment, with a hint of scrutiny in her eyes. She was wearing a pure black professional suit, young and beautiful. Her belly was also slightly protruding. I recognized her. She was the woman Finley had taken for a physical examination. She was also the new secretary that Finley had recently hired. "Kylie, did I wake you up?" Finley asked me with concern. The next second, he glared at Jocelyn with cold eyes. "Didn't I tell you not to come to me for anything today? What are you doing? Don't you want to work anymore?" Jocelyn's eyes turned red, and she looked aggrieved. "President Finley, you should go back to the company and take a look. This matter is really urgent." Before Finley could speak, I said slowly, "Since there is an urgent matter in the company, you should go and take a look first." Finley frowned, hesitated, and then patted my hand. "Then you rest for a while. I'll come back when I'm done." He left without hesitation, so much so that he didn't even see the disappointment flashing in my eyes. In the past, no matter how difficult the matter was at work, Finley would never leave me alone. But now, for a new lover he kept outside, he left me so eagerly. 3. After they left, I endured the discomfort in my body and followed them. In the long corridor of the hospital, I heard them talking. "Didn't I tell you? If you dare appear in front of Kylie again, I'll kill you." Finley grabbed Jocelyn's neck angrily. Jocelyn cried aggrieved. "President Finley, I know I was wrong, but I missed you so much. My stomach was very uncomfortable last night. I was so scared, so I wanted to see you." Finley's expression softened slightly, and the hand around Jocelyn's neck gradually loosened. "But you can't come to the hospital. Kylie just had a miscarriage and is in a bad mood. I have to stay here with her." But as soon as Finley finished speaking, Jocelyn reached out and unzipped his pants. Finley trembled all over and held her hand. Jocelyn didn't stop and bit his ear. "President Finley, don't you like trying something different? There are no cameras here, and no one will come. Why don't we?" Jocelyn gradually kissed his lips, and Finley did not refuse, but instead welcomed her. He cursed angrily. "You always use this trick." I couldn't believe my eyes. The former Finley, who was restrained and paid the most attention to his image, had such an open side. I was shocked and heartbroken, and I wanted to cover my ears to avoid hearing their moans. But I couldn't help but look. Tears had unknowingly wet my whole face. After it was over, I watched Finley gently kiss Jocelyn's forehead. It was so tender, just like every time he kissed my forehead. I couldn't help but vomit. When I returned to the ward, all I could think about was the image of them intertwined in the hospital corridor. I couldn't sleep at all. When I picked up my phone, I found a photo that Jocelyn had sent me. It was a photo of them in the corridor. President Finley is really energetic. He did it 3 times in the corridor. It seems not far from your ward. You should have seen it too? 4. I wouldn't have dared, but the doctor said that my baby is already developed enough. So doing things between husband and wife won't affect it and won't easily cause a miscarriage. Seeing that I didn't reply to her, she sent another photo. It was Finley's family heirloom jade. I didn't expect this jade to be so important to the Finley family, and Finley actually gave it to Jocelyn. President Finley said this jade is a gift for our child. You should recognize it, right? It seems to be a family heirloom of the Finley family. Whoever has this jade, the Finley family's property will belong to them in the future. My baby is really full of hope even before he is born. Jocelyn's provocative tone. Even through the screen, I could feel it. I asked her, "So, what are you trying to say?" Interestingly, Jocelyn started to recall messages one by one, as if she was afraid I would show these to Finley. "I just think you're pitiful. I'm just trying to advise you. Everyone thinks that President Finley loves you, but I think you're just a piece of chewing gum that President Finley can't get rid of. In fact, he doesn't think you're interesting at all." Watching her send the message for 3 seconds, then withdraw it, I smiled bitterly. I replied to her, "You don't have to be so careful. Finley is such a trash. If you like him, just take him." Before she could reply, I had already blocked and deleted her. As for Finley, I really don't want him anymore. I lost my soul and took off the love token Finley had given me. I put the bracelet in the box. Around 4 in the morning, Finley finally came back. He must have rushed over. A few buttons on his shirt were buttoned wrong. This was completely unlike his usual meticulous personality. Seeing that I was not asleep, he walked over to me with concern and reached out to touch my face. "Why aren't you asleep yet?" A hint of guilt flashed in his eyes as he explained to me in a low voice. "There was a little trouble at the company, and it took me some time. Were you waiting for me?" He was holding a box of osmanthus cakes. "I just bought your favorite osmanthus cakes, they're still hot." He took out a piece of osmanthus cake and handed it to me, but I had no appetite at all. I just handed the box containing the bracelet to Finley. He took the box and was about to open it when I stopped him. "Don't open it yet. Wait until 3 days later. That's your birthday. This is my birthday present for you." Finley listened to me and put the box in his inner pocket, then put down the osmanthus cake. "If you don't have an appetite now, sleep for a while and eat it after you wake up." Finley stayed with me until I fell asleep, but early the next morning, after answering a phone call, he left in a hurry again, citing urgent company matters. And after he left, I went through the discharge procedures. I went home and packed my bags. I went to Haishur, thousands of miles away. After I left, I heard that on Finley's birthday, it was also Jocelyn's due date. Finley was in the delivery room, and for some reason he felt uneasy, because I hadn't contacted him for a long time. Jocelyn beside him was screaming in pain, and Finley took out the gift I gave him from his pocket. After opening the box, it was the bracelet he gave me. I told him, if one day I wanted to leave him, I would definitely return this bracelet intact. 5. Finley's eyes instantly turned red, and endless regret surged up. He seemed to have forgotten the person he had deeply loved since he was a boy. He had once cried with joy because he had married her. But what was he doing now? Finley's face was ugly. Ignoring Jocelyn, who was in labor, he rushed out of the delivery room. His assistant stood at the door, and Finley grabbed his collar. "Where is my wife? Where did my wife go?" Finley shook the person in front of him like a madman. His eyes were bloodshot. The assistant looked at Finley with a complicated expression and said tremblingly, "Madam." She left, and she also resigned from the company. She said, "She wishes you and Miss Jocelyn a happy marriage." Finley's body trembled, so she knew everything. Finley, who was always decisive and ruthless, leaned against the wall with a pale face and trembled. Jocelyn's heart-rending cry came from the delivery room, and the assistant tentatively asked, "President Finley, then what about Miss Jocelyn?" But Finley couldn't hear anything at all. His mind was full of self-blame. If it hadn't been for that drunken mistake, would he have been with Jocelyn? And he wouldn't have gotten her pregnant. But now? Is it too late to regret? His eyes were full of sorrow, turning into stubbornness. He muttered to himself, "It's impossible. Kylie loves me so much, how could she give up on me?" The assistant stood aside, just shaking his head with a sigh. He pushed open the villa door. The house was very quiet, terrifyingly quiet. Everything about Kylie seemed to have disappeared. Even the wedding photo on the wall was gone. Finley was furious. Who dared to take away my wife's things? India Mom, with red eyes, said beside him, "Madam collected them herself. She threw away all the things you gave her, and the wedding photos. She said she had wiped out all traces of her, and asked you to move in with Miss Jocelyn as soon as possible." Finley's heart skipped a beat, and he looked at India Mom incredulously. Did she really say that? After being married to Kylie for 5 years, how could he not know her at all? Only when she really gave up would she be so calm. Finley's eyes were red, and tears rolled down his cheeks. He laughed wildly. The servants all looked at him with strange expressions, and he almost collapsed, smashing everything in the room. At this time, the assistant who stayed in the hospital called, "President Finley, Miss Jocelyn has given birth to a boy." But Finley didn't feel happy at all. He clenched his fists and said heavily, "Throw the bastard's child to the orphanage." Hanging up the phone, Finley's eyes were bloodshot, and he even shed blood tears. He was full of self-blame and anger. He wept uncontrollably. It was only at this moment that he truly realized that all he wanted was Kylie. 6. Jocelyn woke up in the hospital to find her baby missing. Thinking someone had stolen her child on purpose, she returned to the villa, disregarding her weak postpartum body. She found Finley leaning against the sofa, looking completely dejected, with cigarette butts all over the coffee table. Without thinking too much, she rushed forward and hugged Finley, wailing, "Finley, our child. Our child is missing." Jocelyn cried and wailed, and Finley angrily threw her to the ground. Jocelyn was stunned for a moment, until Finley stared at her with a furious expression. "What did you say to Kylie?" Jocelyn was astonished and subconsciously swallowed. "No. Nothing." The next second, Finley's hand was already tightly around her neck. The man stared at her with a sinister expression, as if he wanted to strangle her the next second. "Dare you lie?" Jocelyn was completely panicked. She sobbed. "Isn't it better that she left? No one can disturb us anymore, and our child can successfully inherit the Finley family." Before she could finish speaking, Finley exerted force, and she felt like she couldn't breathe. She desperately patted his hand. Finley threw her to the ground in disgust and stepped on her stomach hard. "Are you worthy of being compared to Kylie?" The man said coldly, "I've sent your bastard child away. He's not worthy of entering my Finley family." Jocelyn was completely lost, slumped on the ground. She had schemed and planned, thinking she had won Finley's favor. But she didn't expect that in this man's eyes she was nothing. At this time the assistant came over. Someone said they saw Madam in H City. Hearing this, a glimmer of hope appeared in Finley's desperate eyes. He immediately said, "Quick, arrange a private plane to H City. Also, fire Jocelyn and notify everyone in the industry not to hire her." It was a ban. Finley's company had an unrivaled prestige in J City, and being banned by Finley's company meant that even a small restaurant in the entire J City would not hire her. Not only that, even if she went to other cities, no company would hire her. Jocelyn panicked and immediately hugged Finley's leg, begging, "President Finley, I was wrong, please forgive me." Finley kicked her away in disgust. "I will make you pay 100-fold for the pain Kylie has suffered." 7. I opened a painting studio in H City, and business is pretty good. One afternoon, an unexpected visitor came to the studio. Finley stood in front of me, his eyebrows still curved as they used to be, smiling. "Kylie." He stepped forward to take my hand, but I dodged to the side. "Is there something you need, Mr. Finley?" My cold tone made Finley's face stiffen, and his eyes were red, as if he had suffered a great injustice. "Kylie, I've been looking for you for so long." I smiled coldly. "Aren't you and Miss Jocelyn supposed to be on their honeymoon right now? By the way, Isn't your child already 1 year old? Kylie, do you have to talk to me like this? Finley's eyes were red. I really didn't want to pay any attention to him, so I told him to leave. Mr. Finley, if you're not here to learn how to paint, please leave and don't disturb me from teaching my students. Finley took out a card from his inner suit pocket. I've booked it. From now on, you'll only teach me, okay? I scoffed. No need. Finley wanted to talk to me more, but someone behind him pushed him away. I'm late, Teacher Kylie. Ethan, wearing a white t-shirt, walked towards me with a smile, rubbing his hair. He glanced at Finley. Sister, do you even take students this old? Ethan is a college student nearby. He came to learn painting from me last month. He has a very good foundation, but he likes to joke. Finley's face turned black when he heard that, because in the whole studio, he didn't see other students, which meant that Ethan was my only student. Kylie, do you only teach him alone when you open a painting studio? Finley was full of jealousy, and I said coldly, he booked the whole place, and the money he gave was enough. Is there a problem with me only teaching him alone? Besides, if I remember correctly, we've already divorced, and this doesn't concern you, right? Finley's face turned ashen. Ethan, I don't know what happened, but he suddenly put his hand on my shoulder. TSK sister, is this your ex-husband? Looks like he's getting old. Maybe because he doesn't have as much vitality as me? Sister, do you want to see my abs? I looked at him in disbelief. What are you saying? I said in a low voice. Ethan chuckled and leaned into my ear. I'm helping you vent your anger to annoy this ex-husband of yours. Ethan said, and actually grabbed my hand and touched his abdomen. My face turned red instantly. Finley was full of anger, and he clenched his fist and punched Ethan. But Ethan had practiced martial arts, and with just one move, he knocked Finley down. I told you he can't do it. Why don't you consider me, sister? Ethan's provocative words made Finley even more angry. He got up from the ground, looked at me, and then at Ethan. He looked at me expectantly. Kylie, are you still angry with me? I can explain to you about Jocelyn. Give me another chance, okay? Looking at Finley, who was full of deep affection at this moment, I only felt ironic. In this world, there is never a second chance. Even if a broken mirror is reunited, there will be cracks. It's impossible. Finley, there's no possibility between us. My words dimmed the last bit of light in Finley's eyes. He nodded in disappointment and then left dejectedly. After Finley left, Ethan patted my shoulder as if to take credit. How is it? I did a pretty good job, right? But sister, can't you really consider me? 8. I glanced at him and smiled. Just keep reading your book. I'm a senior. I'm about to graduate, Ethan retorted. Sister, you're single now, why don't you give me a try? I laughed. You're much younger than me. I've never dated someone so young. Let's just forget it. Exactly, because I haven't dated, so why not give it a try? Ethan followed behind me, asking questions playfully. For a long time after that, I didn't see Finley again. Life was peaceful and pretty good. One day, after teaching my students as usual, I felt like someone was following me on my way home. I took a couple of steps and looked back. I didn't see anyone, but the feeling of someone following me behind was even stronger. Until I reached the corner, I stopped. When I was ready to fight back, what I saw was Jocelyn, looking completely disheveled. I almost didn't recognize her. She was dressed in rags, and her originally soft hair was knotted. She was no different from a beggar on the street. When she saw me, her eyes were red, and she was very unwilling. It's you, Kylie. Her expression was very painful, and tears kept flowing down her face when she saw me. To be honest, I didn't expect her to look like this. Kylie, what do you have that I don't? Do you know, after you left, Finley went crazy. He lost our child, he ruined me. She pounded her stomach angrily, looking as if she was in agony. I only then noticed her protruding belly and the blood flowing between her legs. She rushed towards me almost frantically. Anyway, my worthless life is not worth it. I won't have a good life if you don't. Only then did I realize something was wrong. On the roadside, a truck was speeding towards us, and she hugged me and rushed towards the road. I wanted to break free from her, and I could see the truck getting closer and closer. The truck slammed on the brakes, but it was too late. I only felt an arm pull me, and I landed steadily on someone. It was Finley. He looked at me with concern. "Are you okay?" And on the road, Jocelyn had been run over by the truck. Later, I found out that after Finley banned her, she came to H-City, but no company in H-City dared to hire her. Helpless, she could only end up begging on the street. As a result, she was bullied by a few beggars at night and got pregnant. She blamed everything on me and wanted to die with me. In the end, she got what she deserved. 9. Are you really dating that guy? Finley still asked me subconsciously. Seeing that I didn't speak, his affectionate gaze fell on me. "Kylie, can I pursue you again? Like before?" Seeing his serious look, I suddenly wanted to laugh. I just said indifferently, "However you want, I can't stop you. But I'll make it clear we're impossible. I will definitely make you fall in love with me again." Finley told me. After accompanying him to the hospital for bandaging, I left without looking back. I accompanied him to get bandaged because he saved me, but I had no feelings for him anymore. At the hospital entrance, Ethan was already waiting. Seeing me come out, he opened the car door and walked over with a bouquet of flowers. Finley felt hostility subconsciously when he saw him. "I warn you, don't always pester Kylie." Hearing Finley's warning, Ethan chuckled lightly. "I think it's you who has been pestering my sister ex-husband." The term ex-husband seemed to bother Finley. Ethan must have caught something and kept calling him ex-husband, as if he was constantly reminding him that we were divorced. Ethan asked me to get in the car, saying he would take me back. Finley subconsciously grabbed my arm. "This kid looks like he's up to no good. I'll take you back later." I couldn't help but laugh. I waved my hand and hailed a taxi to go back by myself, leaving the two of them staring at each other, both unwilling to yield. After taking a shower that night, Ethan sent me a message. "Sister, do you still like him?" "I'm not saying. He's really not worthy of you." Seeing that I didn't reply to him, he quickly withdrew it. "Sorry, I shouldn't have said that. What I mean is, sister, you can find someone better." I smiled and replied, "Yeah, I will in the future." He replied quickly over there, "Don't wait for the future. There's a ready-made one in front of you. Why don't you try it?" Seeing this message, I leaned against the headboard and thought for a while. Ethan is young and good-looking. So far, he seems to be a good person too. It's just that I've just come out of a failed marriage. So is it irresponsible to be with him like this? After thinking about it, I still replied to him, "It depends on your performance." As a result, every day after that, Ethan would come to the studio and bring me a bouquet of flowers. He kept finding ways to give me gifts. Every gift was very expensive. Although I knew Ethan's family was well off, it was too wasteful to give such expensive gifts every day. Today, he gave me the jewelry he had bought at an auction. I refused. "You don't have to keep giving me these luxury goods to chase a girl." He looked at me seriously. "Then what does my sister like?" "As long as I have it, I'll give it to you." At that moment, I really felt like I was crazy. I actually developed a good feeling for a man 6 years younger than me. His innocent eyes stared at me, wet and glistening. "Sister, give me a chance, okay? I know you think I'm young. I will try to make myself mature. Don't rush to reject me, okay? I can wait until you accept me." I took a deep breath, looked at him and smiled faintly. "Okay, I'll give you a chance. But there's a probationary period, 1 month. During this month, I can try to get along with you." Ethan's eyes lit up, and he excitedly hugged me. "Great." And when Ethan hugged me, I saw Finley standing at the door. He stood at the door with a cold expression, looking at me with an indescribable loneliness. 10. Ethan, though young, is actually quite mature. Much more sophisticated than I had imagined. I haven't seen Finley for a long time. I heard he went back to J-City. That's fine too. This relationship wasn't going to get any more entangled anyway. Ethan successfully passed my probationary period, and we officially became boyfriend and girlfriend. The first time he took me home, I thought his parents would dislike me for being older and divorced. Unexpectedly, his parents were surprisingly kind. Older women are better. A woman 3 years older is worth a brick of gold. 6 years older, and that's 2 bricks of gold. Ethan's mother said with a smile. His whole family was very kind, and I no longer felt out of place when I went to his house. When I was with Finley, his parents didn't like me. They always felt that I wasn't good enough for their son. But at that time, I clearly had a family background and education that I could be proud of. Now, being with Ethan, I understand. It turns out that being loved doesn't require you to please or accommodate. Ethan and I have a lot in common. He loves art as much as I do. Later, we went to art exhibitions together and went sketching together. And then naturally, we entered the marriage hall. On the day of the wedding, I received an anonymous email. Inside was a gift of $100,000, and there was a letter. The letter read, "Kylie, in this life, I only wish you peace and happiness. Happy wedding." Later, I heard that Finley never married, and I have a full house of children and grandchildren.